Welcome into the Starcastic Remarks studios. I am Ryan, and this is Starcastic Remarks, the official Dallas Stars podcast of the Hockey Podcast Network. It is currently after midnight in the Central Time Zone. It is 12:18, and we're with you live, believe it or not. The Stars lose tonight to the LA Kings with a final score of 4-0, although it wasn't as bad as it sounds like that. It was still bad, but not as bad as as the score makes it seem to be. We are sponsored by DraftKings. Make sure that you use the promo code THPN next time you go and use the app for a special little offer from them. And with that, we're going to go ahead and bring in Chris and James. Christian, we'll just say it officially. Happy late birthday, because we didn't actually get to tell you on air yesterday. So how was your birthday? What'd you do?
It was great. I watched hockey and ate hot wings. So it was perfect.
You go to B-Dubs? I think that's what you told me, right?
Yeah.
What'd you get? Did you get the atomic wings?
Nope.
No?
Medium.
Lame.
Yep. I
All
like
right,
the
guys.
basic hot wings.
Yeah, and speaking of lame, kind of like the play of the Stars these past two games. So what are your original takeaways coming out of this game tonight? Anything in particular that stood out to you?
This was the most boring hockey game I've seen all season. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could barely make myself watch this game. Yeah. It was awful.
This was the first game that I actually tweeted on, and I just added the Stars and put, "I'm bored."
Yeah.
So, I'll agree with both of y'all. There was no passion. I think I saw on Twitter someone put there was no passion. I don't even think it was necessarily no passion. They just had no legs, no gas. I mean, literally on empty from the start of the game all the way through till the end.
Yeah.
Now they go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Yeah. The only bright side of tonight was the goaltending, which was outstanding. Ottinger,
incredible.
With a loss, has a .950 save percentage on the night, and loses the game 4-0.
And continues his streak of only allowing 2 or less goals. Because we should mention the two of the 4 goals were empty net goals that were just at the end of the game. So we were just trying to get. I don't understand the last one, but whatever.
Yeah, that's how Ottinger loses his win streak, is by posting an amazing performance, a .950 save percentage, and gets no goal support. It was pretty awful.
Pretty classic.
Pretty classic Stars, exactly.
that seemed to happen a lot last year too, when he was in that. He just got no goal support from the Dallas Stars whatsoever.
Yeah, except last year we kind of had an excuse as nobody was there. This year we don't have any more excuses.
Yeah. Now all the guys we were excited about coming back have sucked. So.
But I would argue that Roope Hintz sort of kind of came back. And
Roope Hintz is still in. He was still there last season.
Yeah,
I'm talking about
he was
still. I'm talking about the guys we were excited to come back. Roope Hintz was there. The guys we were excited to come back was Seguin and Radulov, and Seguin has done nothing except score with every part of his body except his stick, and Radulov cannot shoot. So they're pretty useless. I mean, and let's give the credit to this loss to the first line too. The first line sucked. They were out there for the first goal against, and they didn't really put up a whole lot of high danger chances. I mean, one goal from them would have changed the entire way that this game looked. And I know people are going to say, "Oh, well, they had 44 points over the last 11 games." It's like they're the number one line. That's when we need a goal, they're supposed to be the guys to get it, and they didn't do it. They didn't do their job tonight.
Well, I mean, I think you're being a little harsh, to be honest with you, because all the circumstances were against us in this game too, when you think about it. Because we didn't play well the night before. It was a complete and utter disaster in the third period, as you saw, Chris. We were up 4-2, lost 5-4. That kind of got the air out of our wings. And then tonight we just didn't have any wings at all. Yeah. And there was no skating. There was no anything from the Stars tonight. And the only good thing that you could look at from the Stars tonight other than Jake Ottinger, was the I guess you could say the penalty kill. But again, other than that was really about it for
Yeah.
the Stars, positive wise. I just think you're being too harsh on the first line.
Yeah. The biggest mistake in this game was the Stars finding a way to lose last game. So
Yeah.
there's no way you can be a good team and lose the way we did last game when we have a huge chance to put it up. We had Sagan was on the doorstep with 5-2. And I know people are going to say there was a stick check in there. That was not a stick check. That was like a fly landing on Sagan's stick. He missed a wide open net. And then Holtby lets one go straight through his chest. Like, it went through his chest.
Man, we're still talking about the other game yesterday.
Well, I didn't
Chris
get
is
to
like,
talk
I
about
want my
last
2
game.
cents in on
I didn't get
this.
to talk about last game.
No.
So that's what I think was the big issue with this game. Finding a way to lose last game definitely had a huge impact on this game. So I think you're right about that, Ryan. Like you said, there's no air under their wings. There's no gas in the tank, no energy in the legs, whatever other acronyms you want to use for us being slow, tired, and sucky.
Couple of things to throw at you real quick. Just here's Radulov's stats for the season right now. 23 games played, 1 goal, 10 assists, 11 points, and a -9 on the season. And again, I know you don't like to use plus minus, but again, this is a small sample size compared to like an entire season. Right?
Now do Sagan.
23 games.
Nah, I don't
So-
know. Let's not do Sagan. I wanna talk about Rajal for a second longer there because
Go ahead.
he does have that many. He's been doing bad, hasn't been getting a lot of points, but he is tied with Foxa for block shots right now. And for him to be able to just shift over and go full defensive is honestly kind of impressive to me. So whereas he hasn't had the offense that he should and that we think he should, he has been playing very good defensively.
It's not just that we think he should, though. It's that he's
He gets
paid
paid.
for.
He gets paid that way.
He's
That's the
paid
main
to
thing.
score goals, and he's not doing it.
And
If we paid him as much as we paid Fox, I'd be like, okay, sure, whatever. But he's getting paid a lot more than Foxa because he's supposed to be able to put the puck in the net.
And maybe we're paying for it now, for Radulov's contract for what he did, in previous seasons when that Ben Sagan Radulov line was just, immensely huge and was scoring left and right, kind of like the Hens line is now. But I mean, what does Alexander Radulov need to do to get going? Is this just what we should expect from him from now on? Just no offense whatsoever, and just, I guess this.
I think it's going to be pretty much donezo. I think like he did 2 seasons ago, I guess now, he'll pop off for a big night every once in a while. But other than that, I would not expect much from him.
Well, it just stinks because last season, even though he was injured and he was out for a good portion of the season, when he was in, he was nearly a point per game player, if I remember correctly. I'll have to double check that.
On a very small sample size, though.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So I wasn't expecting him to get that kind of a pace. But he played 11 games last season, 4 goals, 8 assists, 12 points. So he was above a point a game. And when he was in, he was huge for the Stars. And it just amazes me how quickly that changed for the Stars and for Alexander Radulov, because it went from just a complete 180 on this right now. And
Well, he'd been in
it's really sad to
decline.
see.
I think the few games he was in last season was more of the outlier than this season is. So I think this season is the culmination of his time here in Dallas, and it's coming to an end in a blaze of glory.
Well, and some would argue and say, well, he's 35 years old. Yeah, he's getting old.
It's
but
retire time.
what about Joe Pavelski? He's 37, and he's popping off a point per game.
He's
More than a
finding
point
ways
per
to do
game.
it, and that Rads isn't. I mean, just play style wise, Pavelski just has way more hockey sense than Radulov does. So I think that's how Pavs is staying in the game.
Well, it's just frustrating to see because of the money that he gets paid, and when we really need a big goal, and the Hens line is not, projecting as we expect them to, even though they've done more than their fair share over the past 3 weeks.
And if there was a game for it to happen, it would be tonight too. So you can't take too much stock in it. And we just came off of tying the longest win streak in Stars franchise history. So we're bound, to get into a little down lull, but it's just not a good time for it to happen because we're about to get our butts kicked around if we can't figure it out.
Right, and let me get into this because this was probably the other biggest storyline coming out of this game, and it's just the fact that the Stars can't figure out how to win on the road. It's almost like you've got a tale of two different teams, and it was like this several years ago under Lindy Ruff, where they'd be lights out at home. Even defensively, they were able to hold their own at home, and they had a great record at home, and then they had a below 500 record on the road. What do the Stars need to do to get up to at least 500, but hopefully better for their road record? What do they need to do?
Well, first of all, the main reason for that is because when you're on the road, you don't get the last change, which means anytime there's like a face-off or something, the home team generally gets to decide who they want going out last. So that gives you an advantage because you get to decide which of your guys goes against the other team. So that means whenever we put our first line out there, they can put their checking line out there against us every single time. And that's how that happened to us a couple of years ago. Like you were saying, we would have the Ben Sagan Rads line out there, and it would just get shut down by their best defense line. And I think the only way you could solve that is with depth scoring, but
which we don't seem to have.
Which we don't have. Like we talked about, 44 points in 11 games from the first line is really what pushed that win streak. Yeah. So we gotta have some of the older guys who still have large paychecks make a difference. But I wouldn't hold my breath for that.
Right. And, it was really sad for Jason Robertson to come into this game. He's from Arcadia, which is just outside of Los Angeles. It's where he was. I can't remember if that's where he was born or where he grew up. I think it's where he grew up. And, this is not exactly the kind of homecoming that the Stars would want for their young stud. But, let me pull this up, too, because we didn't really talk about him a ton. But we talked about him a lot last podcast episode. James and I did. But it's Tyler Seguin. The other third of that Ben Sagan Radulov line is just not getting going at all. And I mean, like you said, Chris, it's literally bouncing off of every other part of his body except for his stick, which is the complete opposite of what we would expect him to do. What's your thoughts on Sagan? Is there anything he needs to do? Is there something he's doing wrong? Is it just unluckiness coming back from an injury? What is it?
I mean, play harder. I mean, look,
Yeah.
His face-off percentage is showing it recently. His puck battles on the boards, he's not winning them. Apparently, when he has a wide-open net, a little brush from a defenseman's stick causes it not to go in. He's got to be more physical. He's got to be strong on the puck. He's got to win puck battles. He's not doing any of that stuff. And he can't overcome it with his skating and stick handling anymore, apparently. That's just gone, so...
I just don't. I refuse to believe that that's legitimately gone.
He hasn't shown it. Every time he tries to do it, it just pops off his stick. Every time he tries to take a shot, it's right to the guy's chest or it's over on into the glass.
Here's my thing, and this goes back to the way that this team is coached. Those three guys, Ben, Sagan, Radulov. Ever since Montgomery came and he decided that we were going to be a defensive-minded team. Those three guys have been on all three of them have been on the decline. They have not played well. And, I understand that this is bonus and everything, but this just leads me to think that bonus is not the solution to this problem right now. And I think you could probably get another coach that could allow the Hintz line to do what the Hintz line does, and also let those three guys maybe get some offensive pressure. And I think a new coach would do that.
I'm not going to disagree with you. In the goaltending situation, the choices that we saw made were obviously the wrong ones. I mean, if Ottinger starts last game, we win that game by a mile. So, I don't know.
It's for me, it's frustrating to watch Sagan because he very obviously doesn't have the same speed as he used to. Because when I see him with like starting to start skating to try to get past someone to try to get a breakaway. He never wins the skate battle anymore. And he's not playing any differently to compensate for that. And I don't that has to just be an older thing, getting older and not changing how you play. And with Pavelski, like the way he plays is he sits in front of the net and he tips the puck in, and he's incredibly good at it.
Mhm.
It's
And he's
and he
he's
practices
practiced
it
so
all
much.
the time. Yeah.
So he's the best in the world at it. He's not just good at it. He's the best.
And like you have to find something else that you are good enough at, because your speed isn't going to cut it anymore. Your speed isn't good enough to beat everyone else in the league.
Yep.
It was never speed with me with Sagan though.
It was a combination of his
skill.
speed, his stick handling, and his shot. And it was all three of those together. And he's lost his stick handling and he's lost his speed. And right now we haven't even seen a shot because it's not on his stick.
Right, but I still just refuse to believe that it's just gone.
Well,
and I don't. my problem is I don't know how to fix it. And I mean, I guess that's why I do a podcast and I'm not an NHL head coach. Thank God.
I haven't seen it in 3 years, so I think it's gone. I agree with James. He's got to find something else to get good at. He's got to.
Okay, but again, I'll say it. Who has been here the past 3 years that it?
I definitely agree. I agree the system has hurt all three of those guys, but other people have found ways to be productive in that system. Like the first line, like the Minutemen. They have been very productive. They were the best line in hockey during our win streak.
And they're all still soundly defensive too.
Yeah, they're one of our best defensive lines as well. So there's ways you can figure it out, and those guys just aren't figuring it out. So while I still agree, Fire Bones is what I want most of all, even after the win streak. It's not going to happen, so you got to figure it out, and it doesn't look like he's trying to. Ben has tried to. He's playing center now, and he's doing a little bit better. Rads isn't really trying to. He's doing what Rads always does. He's playing defensively at least now, like James said, but hasn't changed much offensively.
And for Sagan, here's his stats: 23 games, 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points, a -7. And out of those 11 points, 4 of them are on the power play. So he's only been involved in 7 goals, whether he scored it or whether he, got the primary or secondary assist, and on 5-on-5.
And I know someone's going to say it's because of the people he's playing with too, but even when he's playing with those guys, he doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Like you can't just blame it on him playing with
and the best chance that line had tonight was a pass from Caro to Gurionov. Like Sagan wasn't even in that play.
Yep.
So, I really don't see a point to even discuss the goals here tonight, guys. But just generally from all
we
three,
already skipped it.
Yeah, we really did. I mean, but it's just too much to talk about with those guys because it's just frustrating to see. But I will mention the shots on goal because again, the shots on goal kind of, mention, how the game went, and especially that first period. If it wasn't for Jake Ottinger, we would have been destroyed way earlier than we ended up being. So, just the shots on goal here for tonight. It was 41-27 in favor of the Los Angeles Kings. But it really doesn't tell you how much we were dominated in the first period by LA. And I know some people are like, oh, they're playing okay defensively. And I was just like, this is flat out terrible. This is
first period shots were 20-9. And we got like 5 of the last 9 in the last 3 minutes of the period, I think.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Right. And then in the second period, we played better, but it still wasn't good. And we still got outplayed by LA. And then in the third, when we probably should have been pushing a little bit harder, we didn't. And, I mean, it was the best period of the 3, the third period was. But, it wasn't good enough to win. LA deserved to win that game.
Yeah, the way I categorized it was the first period was awful, the second period was bad, and the third period was meh. So that all equates to a 4-0 loss.
Right. And once again, the 4-0 loss wasn't as bad as it sounds, because two of them
If
were actually
Ottinger
late
wasn't
goals.
good, that's where it should have been pretty much all game, though.
Agreed, 100%. I would agree with you on that one.
We had no business being anywhere close in that game.
So, what did y'all think about the power play here tonight?
We had a power play.
That's
We had
exactly what I was gonna say. That's exactly what I was gonna say. I felt the first two were completely non-existent, and they knew they were going to be tired, and you gotta think that they're thinking we gotta take advantage of this right now, even though we had no offensive pressure whatsoever. We gotta take advantage of this, and the first two power plays were just incredulous. It was stupid. And for that third power play, it was better. They actually spent some time in the zone, but they just kind of like passed it around and overpassed it and things, and it wasn't good. After going 3 for 3 last
Yeah, we used all our luck last night. That's all I got. Like we did so well last night, and I was before the third power play even started. I'm like, it just makes sense that we don't score one tonight. That's just how they work.
And I don't even know what the issue was other than overpassing. I guess it was just like the rest of the game, just no gas, not skating.
Well, and there wasn't one good shot. Like if you think about it, like there was a one-timer from Pavelski that literally didn't get off the ice at all. Other shots just went straight into Quick's chest. Like there wasn't a good shot on the power play.
Yeah, Jonathan Quick was not over-tested here tonight by the Dallas Stars.
He made some big stops. The one on Peterson in the third period.
Yes, I'll give
especially
him credit.
early in the third period, he played really well when we were actually had a little bit of a push there. But yeah, overall, he wasn't tested as much as he should have been. Obviously, only 27 shots.
Was there anybody that stuck out to you positively other than Jay Gottinger here tonight?
I thought Peterson played good. I thought Peterson played really well offensively. He had some really good chances. He showed that he can dangle with the puck. He showed that he can take control of a play. That really makes me view him more favorably, especially in an offensive mindset.
Yeah. Yes, he had good chances, but my problem with Peterson right now is he's not sinking his chances. He's had lots of chances in the last couple of games. And in the games where he scores goals, he normally has multiple chances in those games before he actually sinks one. So whereas he looked good, he had his chances, he didn't score.
Yeah. You gotta learn how to score. You gotta learn how to win. You gotta learn how to score.
He's not there yet. He has so much promise in him right now, and it's really fun to watch him, but it's not going in yet.
Yeah, I just want to keep giving him the chance because I feel like if he can get a Rope Hintz moment, man, who knows? We might have a Robertson 2.0.
That'd be nice.
Lord knows we need one.
Yes. That makes me think about a possible line combo that would be a true second line, and it might get Sagan going. What if we did Sagan and Peterson and possibly either Radulov or Gurianov? What do y'all think about that line combo? Because we really, truly need a second line right now, and we just don't have one.
Well, because none of the olds are stepping up. Step up, olds, other than Pavs, obviously.
Well, it's
Come on,
not
olds.
Sagan is not even old. He's 20.
Sagan's
he's still
old.
No, he's not, because he's
an
only a
old
year
star.
older than me. Shut up.
Sagan's ancient.
He's 29. So
Sagan has at least half a foot in the grave.
dude, he ain't even over the hill yet. Give him a little bit of a break.
No, if he's barreling down the hill.
Yeah? That bad, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you're right behind him.
Oh, that's mean. I'm kidding. I don't care. My kids at school say a lot worse things to me than that, so it don't hurt my feelings. Anyways, guys, and we probably should mention this as well. Ben Bishop starts his first game tonight against the Chicago Wolves. It doesn't really go very well.
Do we have to mention it?
Yeah, we do, because it's worthy of note. So tonight, Ben Bishop, he gets the start, and he lets in 8 goals in his first AHL start, in his first professional hockey league game in 452 days, I think is what I saw on Twitter from the Dallas Stars Twitter account. So
I just feel bad for him, man, because like if you're willing to go through that much weight, and then you're willing to go do a conditioning stint in the AHL,
in the AHL, not the NHL. This is a lower league, much slower than the NHL.
You just so badly want to play again, and I just feel so bad for him. I hope he can figure it out because I know how much he wants to play, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
And that definitely seems to be the case right now because it's one game and it's his first game in over a year, so maybe this is a kind of a one-off, kind of like we viewed the Minnesota game, because that was definitely a one-off compared to all the other games that we played around it. We played great, but it just doesn't seem like Ben Bishop is going to be able to return to form to his Vezina caliber status that he had, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I just don't see it.
Yeah, and I mean, right now at this point, you kind of view him as just an AHL goalie that has to earn his spot in the NHL. Because I mean, from that tells me that he is definitely not in playing condition, really. Well, not just confident. He doesn't have the ability right now. So he's got to get that back and show that he can do it consistently again before he can start playing in the NHL. I don't know if conditioning stints have time limits. I'm sure they do, but
especially for an one-way contract like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think it's a certain amount of games that they can play at the AHL level. I don't want to put a specific number on it, but I think it's like between 5 and 10 games, if I remember correctly. They're allowed to be on a conditioning stint in the AHL. But
yeah,
it is what it is. I'm still rooting for him to come back, and that kind of puts us in a bind too if he comes back. And
I'd rather be in that kind of a bind though than not have Ben Bishop playing hockey. I really want to see him again. I love watching him play.
Well, he's fantastic, and he's 34, 35, I believe, 34, I think. So goalies can play a little bit longer than skaters can, just because they don't have to move around as much. They have to be a lot more limber, but the whole conditioning thing is not as big a deal for the goalies as it is for the skaters, so they can last longer. But I just don't see him coming back, just to kind of put a bow on that. But we'll see. Maybe that was just one game.
And so just kind of as like a last point, I guess, I am like I'm really panicking right now for this Stars team, because I know it's only 2 games and they just were on a 7-game winning streak, but we're about to start to have to go to away games, and we're about to have to start playing more back-to-backs.
And against Central Division teams.
Yeah, and the 2 back-to-backs we have later in the month are both against Chicago. So these are games that we should win normally. And it is, I'm getting very, very worried about those games now.
You're exactly right. If we start playing bad now, it could bury us in the division. And
it will bury us.
It could be extremely hard to get out of there. So we definitely need to find a way to get some points. We need some points is what it is. Our goal every night should be points.
Unfortunately, I'm not trying to ring a bell here, but the Stars have not played well against teams they should beat this year. And there's 4 examples right off the top of my head I'm thinking. 2 against the bottom feeder Ottawa Senators. 3rd one against Vancouver, who just basically cleaned house, fired their GM, fired their coach, fired their assistant general manager. And then tonight. This one was a little bit harder. This LA Kings team is much better than the other 2. But it's still a game that if you're going to be a top team in the NHL and you want to be not just a playoff contender but a cup contender, you have to win these kind of games on the road against these teams. And we have not done that this year.
It was 1-0 going into the third, and we had a chance to steal a game. You've got to at least get a point. You're exactly right.
Ottinger gave them every capability to take this game and steal it and walk away with the 2 points and go on their way to the candy store and throw it into their bank. But they didn't do it because they just didn't have enough giddy up and go.
Candy store has the bank.
It's 12:48. Okay? I don't have any good analogies.
It's the
Sorry.
candy bank. You
It's
don't
the
have a
candy
candy bank account?
Nobody
What's
has
wrong
a
with
candy
you?
bank account.
Everyone has a candy bank account.
What do you
I got
have
my
in
candy
yours?
card in
Chris?
my wallet right now.
What do you have in yours, Chris? What do you have in yours?
A lot of nerd rope. A
Oh,
lot
that's
of sweet tarp rope. I like ropes. Ropes are useful. And during apocalypse, you can tie the rope together and use it as actual rope. So
good. Yeah, because
multi-use.
that's totally how that works.
It's rope, Ryan. Gosh.
Just for that, when I come home to the DFW area for Christmas time, we're gonna test that theory out. We'll just dangle you from the second story, window from upstairs.
In the
You can try it.
apocalypse. I'm not gonna make it work when there's not the apocalypse. What a foolish statement. I bet you feel foolish.
Yes, I feel totally foolish.
You should.
Yes. James, what's in your candy bank account? It's late. Why not? Say something.
It's empty. I ate all of it.
Jared
I just finished it off. Actually, I had
James is
Skittles. It was
suspended.
my last thing.
Skittles.
Are they sour?
No, they were normal Skittles.
Oh, lame. Or no, the tropical ones.
Yeah,
are
but they're still good.
But they're lame.
It's sugar. Sugar is sugar. Okay.
Yeah. Well, mine is full of the Trolli sour neon gummy worms. So those are my favorite.
Of course
There's
it
like
is.
mountains and mountains and mountains of those gummy worms.
I think everyone who listens to the podcast at this point knows that is your one defining personality trait.
Yes.
Is liking a specific brand of gummy.
It's 2 flavors. Am I 2 flavors?
Yeah, you are hockey and sour
I am
neon
hockey
gummy
and
worms.
Sour neon gummy worms. Those are my 2 flavors, and that's it. That's my personality. Okay, guys, we're tired, so we're going to go ahead and end it for the evening. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on our social media accounts. You can follow Chris at ChrisCham2B, James at JamesTheBomb02, me at StarsBoy12, and you can also follow the podcast at StarcasticR. All of that is on Twitter. You can also find the podcast on any kind of other social media. And James, when's the next game?
It is Saturday at 9:30, so another late night game. We're gonna be up till like 12 again.
But it'll be a Saturday night, so that will be helpful. So.
I'm not sure how much it's gonna help me. And it's against the San Jose Sharks.
So another surprising, Pacific Division team that we didn't expect to do all that well, and they're doing okay. They're 500-ish right now. So it's not going to be an easy game. So we'll see you guys then. Once again, make sure you use the promo code THPN next time you go and use the DraftKings app. And we will catch you guys on, I guess it's technically Sunday morning. We'll catch you on the flip side. Good night.